What happened to New Sedaka?
Sedaka was born in Brooklyn, New York, and his father was a taxi driver from Turkey. His mother had some Polish and Russian descent and grew up in Brighton Beach. His father's cousin, Rachel Gorman, was of Lebanese Jewish descent. Sedaka demonstrated musical aptitude in his second grade choral class and auditioned for a piano scholarship to the Juilliard School of Music's preparatory division for children. After graduating from Abraham Lincoln High School, Sedaka and his classmates formed the Linktones. His first single for RCA Victor, The Diary, was inspired by Connie Francis. His second single, a novelty tune titled I Go Ape, just missed the top 40, peaking at number 42, but becoming a more successful single in the UK with a number 9 chart berth. The third single, Crying My Heart Out For You, was a commercial failure, peaking at number 111, but reaching number 6 on the pop charts in Italy. RCA Victor had lost money on I Go Ape. The song Where the Boys Are by Neil Sedaka and Howard Greenfield was a hit in the UK and Japan, peaking at number 3 for 4 weeks. Jerry Goffin, Carole King's first husband, took the tune and wrote the playful response, Oh Carol. Sedaka wrote many hits from 1960 to 1962, including Stairway to Heaven, You Mean Everything to Me, Run Samson Run, Calendar Girl, Little Devil, Happy Birthday Sweet 16, Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, and Next Door to an Angel. RCA Victor issued 4 LPs of his work in the US and Great Britain during this period, and also produced some videos of Calendar Girl in 1961. Sedaka and Greenfield wrote many of Connie Francis's hits, such as Falling and the theme from Where the Boys Are, which hit the top 5 on the Billboard Pop Singles chart. And Francis had Neil Sedaka and Greenfield also write some of Jimmy Clanton's hits, such as Another Sleepless Night, What Am I Gonna Do, and All the Words in the World. Sedaka himself recorded each of these 3 songs, with Another Sleepless Night appearing on his Rock with Sedaka debut album. What Am I Gonna Do, appearing on his 1961 album, Neil Sedaka sings Little Devil and his other hits, and All the Words in the World being kept in the RCA Victor vaults until 1977. Sedaka also contributed some work as a session pianist during his heyday as a pop singer-songwriter. He was popular in Italy, where many of his English-language records were released there and proved successful. In 1961, Sedaka began to record some of his hits in Italian. English-language recordings were popular internationally, with One Way Ticket to the Blues and Calendar Girl reaching number 1 on the Japanese pop charts in 1959 and 1961. He was talked into focusing on the international markets because Elvis Presley never toured overseas, and his publishers and managers considered it a low risk. In 1962, his popularity began to wane, and his 1963 singles enjoyed only moderate success. In 1964, Sedaka's career began a sharp decline, sped up by the Beatles' arrival and the British invasion. From 1964 to 1966, only 3 of his singles cracked the Hot 100, and his other singles from this era all missed the Hot 100. To make matters worse, RCA Victor refused to release his new recording, It Hurts to Be in Love, and Gene Pitney replaced Sedaka's lead vocal track with his own. Sedaka kept making work throughout the late 60s, but he was able to maintain his career through songwriting. His hits include the songs We Had a Good Thing Going and Working on a Groovy Thing, a top 40 hit for Patty Drew in 1968, and he also made a top 20 pop hit for The Fifth Dimension in 1969. On a 1965 episode of the quiz show I've Got a Secret, Sedaka's secret was that he was to represent the U.S. at the 1966 Tchaikovsky Classical Piano Competition in Moscow. Sedaka worked to revive his solo career in the early 1970s, despite his waning chart appeal in the U.S. in the late 1960s. He made several trips to Australia to do some concerts, and his commercial comeback began when the single Star-Crossed Lovers became a major hit there. In 1971, Sedaka reunited with RCA and released the Emergence album. After the failure of Emergence in the US market, Neil Sedaka took a different approach to songwriting with Cody compared to Greenfield, who he was arguing with frequently near the end of their collaborations. In 1973, Sedaka recorded The Tra-La Days Are Over for MGM Records, which included his original version of the hit song Love Will Keep Us Together. From 1974 onward, Sedaka's records were issued on the Polydor label, with his first album of new material being Laughter in the Rain from 1974. Elton John and Sedaka met at a party in 1973, and John suggested that Sedaka sign with his Rocket Record Company Limited. Sedaka returned to the US album charts with the release of Sedaka's Back, a compilation of songs from 3 albums he had already recorded in the UK. Neil Sedaka Sings His Greatest Hits was the second Sedaka album ever to chart in the US. Neil Sedaka was known principally as a singles artist up until this point in his career. In 1975, he found himself once again topping the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart with Laughter in the Rain. He followed the success with a more politically motivated song, The Immigrant. In late 1972, producer Stig Anderson approached Sedaka to write the lyrics to a single by a new Swedish pop quartet. The song was entered into the 1973 Eurovision Song Contest and placed 3rd. The band, renamed ABBA, made Ring Ring the title track of their first album released on March 26, 1973. The single was credited to all the members of ABBA and Sedaka and Cody, and it reached number 1 in Sweden and Belgium and charted in the top 5 in at least 4 other countries. Neil Sedaka and Greenfield co-wrote Love Will Keep Us Together, which was a number 1 hit for Captain Into Neil and the biggest hit for the entirety of 1975. Tony Tennille paid tribute to Sedaka's return to music business in the US with her ad-lib of Sedaka's Back in the outro. In late 1975, Sedaka's most successful year of his career continued with the release of his second Rocket Records album, The Hungry Years. The first single, Bad Blood, hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was certified gold by the RIAA. Sedaka's new version of Breaking Up Is Hard to Do hit number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1976, making him the only artist to ever record an entirely reinterpreted version of a song where both versions reached the Billboard Top 10. Sedaka released a 3rd and final album with Elton John's label, the Rocket Record Company, in 1976 called Stepping Out. The first single, Love in the Shadows, was by Max Sedaka, Neil's father, who died in 1981 of colon cancer. Neil re-recorded his father's 1965 song Pictures from the Past and signed with Curb Records. In 1985, songs composed by Sedaka were adapted for the Japanese anime television series Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. In 1994, Sedaka provided the voice for Neil Musaka in Food Rocks, which was a parody of himself. A musical comedy based on the songs of Sedaka, Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, was written in 2005 and is now under license to theatrical rights worldwide. A musical, Laughter in the Rain, starring Wayne Smith as Sedaka, had its world premiere at the Churchill Theatre in the London borough of Bromley on March 4th, 2010. Sedaka was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1983. He also has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and was an October 2006 inductee of the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. In May 2003, Sedaka appeared as a guest judge and mentor to the 5 remaining finalists on American Idol that season. Neil Sedaka had lost his recording contract in the mid-80s and used his own business, Neil Sedaka Music, to finance the recording, production, and distribution of new CDs and repackaging of his existing catalog of music. In 2007, he signed a recording contract with Razor and Tie Records, a small but growing New York-based independent label with a talent roster that also included Joan Baez, Vanessa Carlton, Foreigner, Joe Jackson, and many more. In May 2007, he released the Definitive Collection, a life-spanning compilation of his hits, which debuted in the top 25 on Billboard's Top 200 Albums chart. The next release was Waking Up Is Hard to Do, a children's album that used the melodies of many of Sedaka's best-known songs but changed the lyrics to fit the everyday lives of babies and toddlers. The Music of My Life entered the albums chart in February 2010 and comprised almost all new material. Right or Wrong, co-written with original music partner Howard Greenfield, was done in a traditional manner. In 2007, Donny Osmond released a CD, Love Songs of the 1970s, which included a cover of Sedaka's 1975 #1 hit, Laughter in the Rain. In 2011, Sedaka recorded 2 duets with singer Jim Van Slyke for Van Slyke's tribute album, The Sedaka Sessions. In 2014, Sedaka made a duet with up-and-coming Nashville star Mary Sarah on Connie Francis's classic song, Theme from Where the Boys Are. In 2015, Sedaka duetted with Steve Tyrell on his #1 hit from 1974 and 1975, Laughter in the Rain. In 2016, he performed to a sold-out audience in the Villages and released his new acoustic album, I Do It for Applause. And as of early May 2023, Neil Sedaka is still alive and well, and he stays active on social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well occasionally. And that's what happened to Neil Sedaka. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Give me some facts about him that I failed to mention. Let me know who I should do next on the channel. And thanks again for staying this long. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.